political ideology is a philosophy about the design, functions, and goals of government. Traditionally, political ideologies have been compared along a left-right spectrum. This traditional ideological spectrum places philosophies on a continuum from the left, favoring more government control and equality within a society and the economy, to the right, preferring limited government, accepting social inequalities, and emphasizing individual freedom. The extremes of communism on the left and fascism on the right have taken form in authoritarian governments. Democracies have flourished more in the ideological center. Communism on the far left is both a political ideology and an economic system, emphasizing government control of property and the economy and aiming to eliminate class divisions. Under communism in its ideal form, all workers are considered equal within society, no matter their role or productivity. Communist states control economic output and provide education, employment, housing, and healthcare to all members of society. Still on the left, but less radical than communism, is liberalism. While continuing to stress equality, liberalism focuses on the government's role both in protecting individual rights and ensuring that the government plays an active role in the economy. Liberals accept the market emphasis of capitalism, but believe that unfettered capitalism can lead to concentrations of wealth and power that can result in unfair labor practices, a lack of competition, and environmental pollution. They believe that the government needs to intervene in the marketplace to regulate business to mitigate these negative outcomes. Recognizing that capitalism can leave some workers behind, liberals typically support government-funded programs to help the poor. To the right is conservatism, which stresses a more limited government role and an emphasis on maintaining order and the status quo. Traditional conservatives support existing societal institutions and may also seek to limit government's power. Compared to liberals, conservatives prefer less government regulation of business. They may also oppose government social programs, such as those that provide income support to the poor. On the far right end of the spectrum is fascism. This philosophy features strict control of the state and strong police and military power. Fascists promote what they see as a natural hierarchy within a society and reject many elements of electoral democracy. Italy's Benito Mussolini and Germany's Adolf Hitler both capitalized on widespread discontent after World War I to establish fascist governments, pushing a strong sense of national identity and employing violence to gain power. Neither of the ideologies at either end of the spectrum, communism and fascism, typically has a strong presence within democratic governments. Democratic governments are found in countries in which the prevailing political ideology falls more in the middle of the spectrum. The degree to which a democratic government plays a role in the economy and society can vary depending on the prevailing ideology. For example, in Sweden, the government taxes citizens at a higher rate than in many other countries. These taxes are then used to fund free education, health care, retirement benefits, and other programs. In the United States, the government taxes citizens at a lower rate and does not provide social programs as wide-reaching as Sweden's. Although the left-right spectrum is one way of thinking about political ideologies, in some ways it's quite simplistic and doesn't capture the range of diverse beliefs that individuals hold. For example, individuals may favor more government intervention in some spheres while opposing it in others. This is particularly true when socio-cultural attitudes come into play. In the United States, for example, a number of social issues affect ideological alignment. Individuals' positions on a host of issues such as gun control, abortion rights, racial equality, women's rights, and LGBTQ rights are shaped by their religious beliefs, region, ethnic background, and education. This complex mix of influences means that people may take positions on both sides of the traditional ideological spectrum. For example, many Americans who are passionate about the Second Amendment's right to bear arms want less government control of guns and thus place greater emphasis on individual freedoms and personal liberty. These same individuals also favor more government involvement in limiting access to abortion, thereby accepting government limits on individual freedoms and personal liberty. Conversely, many of those who favor gun control legislation also advocate more freedom of choice regarding abortion. The complexity of Americans' beliefs on sociocultural and socioeconomic issues has resulted in political scientists sometimes using an ideological matrix that shows how individuals may be liberals on some issues and conservative on others. Populism, for example, champions the average person over the elites in big business and may be considered either left or right. The United States experienced a resurgence of populism in the last decade of the 20th century and the early 21st century. On the right, for example, in the 1990s, Republican Pat Buchanan made an unsuccessful populist-based primary run against incumbent Republican President George H.W. Bush. Buchanan emphasized a conservative sociocultural agenda in opposition to free trade, the latter in direct contrast to traditional Republican free trade orthodoxy. His run served as a precursor for the populist conservative Tea Party movement that emerged in 2009 and gained significant traction in the Republican Party. Tea Party proponents call for a more limited government role in the economy, decreased taxation, and increased regulation on immigration. On the left, in 2011, liberal activists rallied in the Occupy movement, protesting economic inequality, and even criticized Democratic office holders who they saw as too close to big business. Libertarianism, which places individual liberty above all else and favors very limited government, combines economic and social views found on different sides of the political spectrum. To libertarians, each person should be free to live his or her life without interference from other people or government. Libertarians tend to be conservative when it comes to the economy, for example, favoring lower taxation and minimal government regulation, and liberal when it comes to social issues, for example, supporting marijuana legalization and LGBTQ rights.